All right. Hello. Welcome to what I did promise. We were going to do a brief little overview of the project. So, this is the short video about the Juvenile Program Proposal Assignment. This assignment sheet has been available since day one in the course content folder, the overall for the whole course. This is me going over it and talking about some of the specifics of the project itself. Okay, after this point, if you still have questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions. I'd be willing to meet with you, whether that be virtually or in person, going forward. I wanted to at least make this video before I met with anyone because I want to make sure that, I probably will answer questions, but if there's still questions, by all means, I will gladly answer them. One thing I will say is technically throughout the summer, we did get an email sent out. I don't know if it went to everyone or if it just went to all staff, but the building, our West Campus, is closed on Fridays, so that is the one day I cannot meet you on campus is Friday. Just through the summer, we're closed on Fridays. Monday through Thursday, we are open. So again, I'm not in the office, but I can be in the office if needed. Okay, that being said, so this is the program proposal assignment sheet, and I'm just going to go through it real quickly, and then I'm going to talk about it. So throughout the course, we have talked and will talk about psychology and philosophy that guides programs and administration regarding juvenile justice. I say this now because next week, week 3, we talk about all the theory stuff that's needed for the class. It's a boring lecture, but it is an important lecture. But you'll see throughout the course we'll talk about it. The reason I give this assignment sheet to you early is I want you to have plenty of time to think about it and work on it. This is not something that you need to stress about right now. This is something that's due in the last week of class. So throughout the course, we'll talk about psychology and philosophy that guides programs and administration regarding juvenile justice. And the beauty of humanity is that we all have a point of view. We all have opinions, which gives us a chance to make changes in places we believe need the most help. Honestly, you put 2 people in a room and there are at least 4 different opinions in there. It's kind of the beauty of humanity. And so I want you to take that. So with this in mind, I want you to create a brief proposal for a juvenile delinquency program to be run locally in our community. So I want to emphasize, if you've taken English Comp 1, you will know that the last assignment in that class is a proposal project. This is in the same vein as that, where I'm asking you to propose something. And we will talk more about it here in just a minute. But you should use our textbook as a resource, as well as looking up any current programs here in Erie County for combating juvenile delinquency. Despite the seriousness of juvenile delinquency, this assignment should be somewhat enjoyable, since this is your chance to state how you would do things differently. This is hypothetical, so it does not have to be 100% possible for this area. It can be wishful thinking and hoping. So, I know several students have talked about one of the hardest parts of this assignment is coming up with a plan. Writing it is easy because it's your idea, but one of the hardest parts is coming up with the idea. So I want to tell you, students in the past have come up with after-school programs, have come up with community rec centers. They have come up with, in particular, an in-school mentorship program. Some students have come up with a new juvenile detention facility that is designed differently than traditional. You can do essentially whatever you want. The most popular ones are after-school programs and rec centers, because there's a lot of research that we have available on that, and our textbook talks about it a lot. And I'm telling you right now, Chapter 1.5 of our textbook, 1.5, has a lot of international juvenile delinquency programs. It would be very helpful to look at that chapter in particular to help design what you would do. And so this is where I say, how would you do things differently? If you were in charge, what would you do to reduce delinquency? And I will tell you this because this question has come up before too. When I say for combating juvenile delinquency, that is intentionally vague. Do you want to create a preventative program that tries to intervene before crime is ever committed? Or do you want to deal with juveniles who have already committed a crime and you want to rehabilitate them? Or do you want to do something else? Do you want to address both? Do you want to address kids who are currently in the system? Do you want to address kids who are out of the system but you want to stop them from reoffending? Do you want to just hit kids as young as possible, get them involved in this and so that they don't? That's up to you. You have the power to choose. When I say it does not have to be 100% possible for this area, the biggest way I mean is finances. Starting programs and building buildings and things like that, that is expensive. And sometimes, especially in an area that financially struggles a lot of times, it might not be possible. That's why I said it's okay to be wishful thinking and hoping. You don't have to make this the most realistic thing. The only thing I would say is, don't say, I want to develop a program that injects every juvenile with this new strand of DNA that changes them and prevents them from becoming delinquents. No, that's too far-fetched. Keep it in the realm of possibility, but don't worry so much that it would happen. This is a what-if scenario. So like I said, choose something that you feel personally. If you believe that kids would do way better in a sports program than just kind of doing whatever they want, then that can be your delinquency program, is a sports program designed to keep kids out of gangs and out of criminal behavior. If you truly believe that education is the right thing, then choose to do an education program. Heck, you can decide if you want it to be like a K through 12 learning thing where each year has a different subject and things like that. You can do that. Because at the end of the day, you're not actually doing these things. You are proposing what you would do differently. And heck, if it's a really good proposal and you think it should exist, yeah, take it out into the real world. Actually try and get it to happen. I'm more than supportive of that. But for this class, I'm just asking you to think, you personally, what would you do to stop juvenile delinquency? And maybe not stop, but reduce it, to make it less. What would you do? That's all this is. Okay? So the guidelines. For this assignment, you'll need to conduct a little outside research. Any claims you make should be supported with some level of facts and data showing that your opinion is factual. You can use Google, you can use Wikipedia, you can use our library sources, you can use whatever you can gain access to support your claims, okay? Any outside sources should be cited appropriately in the APA style. There is a link on Blackboard that's provided that goes to the APA guidelines on the OWL Purdue, okay? So look there first because those are where the guidelines are. The proposal, if you type it out as a Word document, should be at least 4 pages double-spaced with clear headings for each section. The bold text are your headings, okay? If you type it, at least 4 pages, okay? You need an introduction where you state what aspect of juvenile delinquency your proposed project is aiming to impact. In other words, what exactly are you hitting? Are you hitting the kids that are in the system? Are you hitting the kids before they hit the system? What are you actually trying to do? You'll need a brief background on previous programs or current programs being performed here and elsewhere that model the same outcomes you expect to see. So if you say, I want to do an after-school program, look at after-school programs. Talk about them here. Talk about what other places have done. If you want to build a rec center that gives kids a free place to go, Look at that. Maybe not here in Erie, but look at other rec centers throughout the country, throughout the world. How do they work? How do they operate? Look at those things. That's what background's all about. An implementation plan, your third piece, for how the actual program will work and be introduced. So you'll need the step-by-step process, including cost if you can, to implement the program. So this should be, okay, we want to build a rec center. So the first thing we have to do is we have to find a property. And so that's the first thing. You find a property. Once you find the land, now you need to contract the land and hire builders and engineers and designers to build the rec center. And that might take 2-3 years. Okay, so after year 3, the building has been built. Who is the staff? What kind of people do you hire? Do you hire, or do you do volunteers, or are you going to hire someone? Are you going to have on-site athletic professionals? Are you going to have an on-site health professional? What exactly does that look like? What programs are going to be offered? And when you start it, are you going to let it be open to all programs, or are you going to have certain programs to start? That's what I mean by step by step. Okay? You're covering all of your bases. So your big sections of this project should be the background and implementation. Intro and conclusion should be fairly small, because intro is just, here's what I want to do. Conclusion is where you attempt to encourage your audience to support this program and see it implemented. You're doing a call to action. You want to sum up the main importance of why we need to do this and why it should happen. That's what the conclusion is for. So as stated above, the format, cited in APA style, type double-space 12-point Times New Roman, Arial, 11-point, or Calibri. I don't care what font you have. Keep it the default, which I believe is Aptos currently. It doesn't matter. I just don't want you, changing it to Chiller or Old Gothic or anything like that. Don't change it. Just leave it the default. Or if you write in one of those, that's fine. Use that. Okay. With section headers, all bolded in the section above. Like I said, I told you what the section headers are. You can use images. Images are encouraged but not required for this assignment. Students in the past who wanted to build something actually include satellite imagery of the land that they want to build their proposed project on. And that's really cool, okay? So by all means, feel free to use images. Any and all information or content obtained from other sources, whether online or in person, should be cited to avoid plagiarism. I would recommend having at least 3 sources. And I even tell you, one being our textbook, I'm giving it to you. One for current programs, just looking up what is available, and one to support your thought process regarding your hypothetical program. So if you find one that is exactly like what you want to do and you want to model it, that would be a third one. Do you see how I tell you exactly? These are the things I'm looking for. Okay? Now, I've had students in the past ask about this, and I'm on board with it, and I think this is actually a really good idea. If you want an alternative to writing a 4-page proposal, you can create a presentation, PowerPoint, Prezi, Google Slides, etc., with the same information required. This means you need enough content of a 4-page paper in a presentation. Roughly looks at about 14 slides worth, okay? I'm even telling you what I'm looking for. All of the requirements above still apply to the presentation. You do not need to record your presentation, but you may if you choose so. So if you decide to do a presentation, you will need an introduction, an intro slide, saying what your project is, giving a brief why you want to do this, and then you're going to go into a little background. You're going to have some slides on other programs, what they did, what they looked for, how their success was, things like that. Then you'll go into your plan, and that should be the bulk of your slides, talking about, we want to do this, it's going to look like this, it's going to cover these things, it's going to address these areas. And then you're going to have a couple slides at the end that call for action. Say, hey, now that you know this is what we can do. This is how we move forward. And then you should probably have a slide at the end that has your sources that you pulled from. That's it. This is the project. It should be fun. Most students who actually partake in this enjoy this project. Once they pick their topic, it's so much easier and they enjoy it. It's the picking your topic because it's so open. So I encourage you, take a look at chapter 1.5 of the text, look at what juvenile delinquency programs currently exist around the world, and think about what you would do. We've already started talking about these things. We already started talking about rehabilitation and drug programs. That's something we started with, and that's something that's part of this. What would you do differently? All right, the last page of this is the grading rubric. This project's worth 150 points total. The assignment's due in the last week of class. And right here, look at this. 100 points is that you have each section filled out completely. That's it. If you have an introduction that addresses everything I asked for the introduction, which is what is your program and your targeted group and why, that's 25 points. If you give me background information telling me about some programs that are similar to what you want to do, you get 25 points. If you have a step-by-step plan, you don't just say, I want to build a rec center. We're going to host for sports. The end. If you give me way more than that, you're going to get 25 points. And if you end with saying this is an important aspect because, and you dive into why it's important we address it, and you try to call your audience for action, that's 25 points. 100 points very easily. And the last 50 points, 20 points for APA formatting. I am not the strictest on this. Okay? You can make several errors in all of this following components. You can make errors and still do well. Okay? I want you to be trying to do the APA formatting as closely to correct as possible. Grammar, punctuation, and spelling. It's an important aspect of this, but notice it's 10 points. It's the lowest point thing because we're all human and we make mistakes. But it's important that you work on this. So please take it seriously. And then sufficient content / guidelines. If you reach the 4 pages or the 14-ish slides and you followed my directions, you get 20 points. I'm serious when I say if you dive into this and you actually do this project, you should not struggle to pass it. You should get almost every point. You can do this. You might get a couple points off in the APA formatting and grammar, punctuation, spelling, and that's typically where people lose points. But guess what? It's at most like 5-10 points. 140 out of 150 is still an A. So, that is this assignment. This is the juvenile program proposal assignment. Like I said, it's due in the last week. What you want to do with it is completely your choice. If you want to ask me my input on your ideas, I would be more than happy to do that. But, other than that, that's it. Thank you for listening to this. And if you haven't watched the lecture video, go watch that. And I will see you all there.